Hi, this is Mrs. Raymond, and I am going to help you with your Home Connections, page 65. This is the Unit 3 review. Number 1, find and label the location of these numbers on the number line. It's okay to add more marks to the line if you need to. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that because I see a 0 and a 1 and a 2. So I see the 0 and the 1 and the 2. And I'm going to go ahead and add half and 1.5 to the number line. So I'm going to say that this line right here is 0.5. That is half because it's halfway between 0 and 1. And so then this line right here must be 1.5. Okay. These help me to think about where the other numbers are going to be. Okay, so when I go to add 1.4 to the number line, that 1.5 really helps me know that this is 1.4. So that one is finished. Okay. When I go to add 75 hundredths to the number line, 75 hundredths to the number line, let's see. If this is 5/10, if this one is 5/10, this one must be 6/10, and this must be 7/10, and this must be 8/10. So if that's the case, then this would be halfway between 7/10 and 8/10. So this must be 0.75. Because remember, this one would be 0.7, this one would be 0.8. So halfway between would be 7/10 or 75 hundredths. Okay, 1.25. Let's see, where would 1.25 be? Well, let's see. If this is 1, then this would be 1.1, this would be 1.2, this would be 1.3. So 1.25 is going to be halfway between 1.2 and 1.3. 1.25. Okay, 2/10. Well, 2/10, I can do this one because if this is 0, then this would be 1/10, and this would be 2/10, and this would be 3/10, and this would be 4/10. So 2/10 is right here. I'm going to label it 0.2, 2/10. Okay, 1.95 is my next one. So let's see, if 1.5, this would be 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9. So 1.95 is going to be halfway between 1.9 and 2, 1.95. And now 58 hundredths. Let's see. 58 hundredths. I'm going to come all the way back to here. Here's 5/10, and here's 6/10. So 58 hundredths is going to be really, really close to 6/10, 0.58. Now it says, number 2, to use the symbols greater than, equals, and less than to compare each pair of decimal numbers. Okay, so as I'm looking at these, I see that they're both 94, but then I can see that this is 5/10 and this is 6/10. So 5/10 is less than 6/10. When I look at the next set of numbers, I see 94 and I see 94. And now I see that this is 5/10 and this is no tenths. So 5/10 is always greater than 0/10. Once again, I'm going to start with 94. Then I look at the 5/10. They both have 5/10. But then this has 0 hundredths and this has 9 hundredths. So this less than 509 thousandths is less than 590 thousandths. Okay. This next one, number 3, is about the odometer of a car. The odometer is the mechanism that keeps track of how many miles you've driven on a car. So when the odometer of a car reads 35,467 and 219 thousandths, the 5 stands for 5 times 1,000 miles, because the 5 is in the thousandths place. It says use expanded form to show what each of the other digits on the odometer reading means. Okay, so the 3 means 3 times, well, let's see, what place is that? That is the 10,000s place. And now the 4. Let's see, the 4 means 4 times, let's see, what place is that? Well, that would be the hundreds place, 4 times 100. The 6, let's see, here's the 6. It means 6 times 10 miles, because the 6 is in the tens place. The 7 is in the ones place, so that means 7 times 1 miles. Now we're moving into decimal valley. So the 2 is right here, and the 2 is in the tenths place, so that means 2 times 1/10. So I can either write it as 1/10, or I can write it as a fraction if I wanted to. The 1 is in the hundredths place, so that would be 1 times 0.01. I could write it as a fraction. I could write it as 1/100th. And the 9 is in the thousandths place, so that would be 9 times 1,000th. If I wanted to, I could write that as a fraction as well. Number 4 of the whole grid is worth 1. Write at least 3 different fractions and 3 different decimal numbers to name the part that is shaded. We want 3 fractions and 3 decimal numbers. Now this whole grid is 1. So if you remember back, we're going to think of this as one waffle. So as fractions, I'm going to start with fractions, I can see that each one of these columns is a tenth. So there's 3 tenths, 4 tenths, 5 tenths, 6 tenths, 7 tenths, 8 tenths. So if I wrote that as a fraction, I would write it as 8 tenths. If I wrote it as a decimal, I would write it as 8 tenths. Now, if I'm counting all the little squares, this little square, this little square, this little square, this little square, there's 100 of those little squares. Each one of those is a hundredth. So if I wrote this as 8 hundredths, no, that would be 80 hundredths, because there's 80 of them, and that would be written as 0.08. So now, how am I going to write this as another fraction? Well, I'm going to think about each one of these little squares, these little squares here. I'm going to erase so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to think about each one of these little squares being broken into 10 little sections. One. So 10 little sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So each one of those little sections would be 1,000th. So that would be 800 thousandths, or 8 hundred thousandths. Oh, I see I made a mistake here. This is 80 hundredths, so this should be 80. Sorry about that. 80 hundredths. Well, that makes sense. Let's see. Let me think of another one. Let's see. 8 tenths is also 4 fifths because 8 divided by 2 is 4 and 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay. So I could also make it be 16 twentieths because 8 tenths, 8 times 2 is 16 and 10 times 2 is 20. All right. I hope this helped you. Sorry about my mistake. It's a good thing I corrected myself and looked at what I was doing. I will meet you on page 66 in the next video.